Welcome back to Park Winners Gardens. It is such a joy to share our gardens with you, and I'm having so much fun because every day, every week, more and more things are unfolding. And today, I want to share with you the pomegranates and the pomegranate blooms. The very exciting thing about today and this week is that the pomegranates are blooming. They have this beautiful paprika color, which is very unusual. It puts a smile on my face because when I see these beautiful paprika colored pomegranate blossoms, it just tells me that the year is unfolding more. The weather is crisp in the mornings, yet it's getting warm, so our fruit are unfolding faster. And one of the things that I love about pomegranates is that when they're growing, they look like little octopus to me. And so I want to show you what they look like. Look at this cute little guy. Does that look like an octopus to you? So this little guy soon will be a big, plump, giant pomegranate. And then here's another little one. See this? So what's really unique about this week is that you see these awesome paprika colored blossoms, and then you also have the developing fruit. So it's so cool to see them side by side. You've got the blossoms, then you have the little mini fruit, and they're developing. As you can see, that they have this really awesome little fun shape to them. And this is one of the fun things that I love to show people. And I so happened to have a guest on my garden tour this weekend, and she was wearing a pomegranate dress. And I took advantage of the situation. I said, hey, it's your birthday. The pomegranates are blooming. Everything's happening on the tree, and you are wearing the perfect dress for this photo. And she was so happy because her mom brought her here. She was celebrating her birthday, and I got to show her pomegranates growing on a tree in this stage, plus the blossoms that are happening currently. And she's wearing this awesome dress. So it just brings me a lot of joy, bringing joy to people, because something as simple as showing someone these pomegranate blossoms, it is really cool. Like, look at this. Like, here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Here you have the flower, and then look at this developing fruit. Isn't that so awesome? Nature is amazing, and the shape of them is so cool. When we first moved here 14 years ago, I noticed this beautiful mother plant, and then the first season that we had these beautiful blossoms, I was very intrigued. But then I realized that under this tree, there was these little volunteers that were growing around it. And I took them and I transplanted them. My reasoning for transplanting them was because I figured that if a seed had fallen off of one of these fruit, found a crack, germinated, and turned into a small plant, that it would be a good plant to transplant because it's strong. It planted itself. I took a chance at it. I transplanted them and planted them all in a row, and already we've been harvesting their fruit for the past 4 or 5 years. So I spotted this little volunteer underneath the tree, and I'm going to transplant it and show you how I did it. So here's this little cutie right here. It's very small. But again, it has found a crack. See what I mean by the crack? It's got, the earth has its natural cracks. And this little plant found itself here. I didn't plant it. Nature planted it. And this little plant will make a beautiful tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to transplant it and turn it into another big tree. So you see, here's the pup, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to plant it, and one day this thing is going to be way taller than me. I think it's so cool that this little guy was a seed. It fell off this tree, found a crack, planted itself, and now it's turning into this. So this tells me that this is a strong specimen because I didn't water it. It just germinated on its own. It's turned into a small tree and it wants to be alive. And I'm going to give it a second chance in life. So let me show you where I planted the rest of them. So here we are. Look at this. This was a pup. And I have an entire line of pomegranates that we planted. And this is one of the pups that I took and moved here. And as you can see, it is way taller than me. I can't reach it. And this thing started off as a tiny little cute plant like the one I just showed you. And these all came from the mother over there. I just had the natural intuition of saving these 1 and 2 foot pups that were growing around that pomegranate tree, transplanting them and putting them over here in a line. And let me tell you, the fruit that this tree produces is beautiful. Not only is it beautiful, but they taste delicious. And if you don't know this already, pomegranates are extremely healthy. Another observation that I've come to over the years is that nature hands us the vitamins and nutrition that we need throughout the seasons. So in the fall, when we need the vitamin C and the nutrients from pomegranates, when these are fully mature, nature starts handing them to us. You also get lemons and oranges in the winter and fall, and it's also a combination of vitamin C so that we can go through those winter months and we have that extra vitamins. And then as we move into the spring, summer, and fall, nature is handing us peaches, apricots, apples, lemons, all sorts of really cool things that our body needs. So it's really cool to observe everything. And most of the things that I've learned and observed, it's just through my years of being in the garden. Nature speaks to me, just like this pomegranate tree mother spoke to me and said, take my pups, plant them, put them in a row, give them full sunlight and water, and watch them grow. Look at all this beautiful lavender around me. It is amazing. It's sensational. The bees are loving it, and I'm loving the scent of it because it is that time of year. As I've said before, when is the best time to harvest flowers that you want to dry? You have to harvest them when they're at their peak. If I were to harvest this lavender when it's already turning, then you end up with brown, crusty lavender. So the time to pick your lavender and any flowers that you want to dry and save is when they're at their peak. And it's sort of hard to do, but because we planted so much of it, it's not a big deal because I have all these spots where I can graze around it and it doesn't even look like we're doing it. Because after all, this is part of our landscaping. I don't want to ruin the vibe for the guests, but there's all this extra lavender that's leaning into each other and there's so much to pick. And I'm going to show you how I pick this lavender. This particular variety is called Royal Velvet and it's one of the first to bloom. And it's really easy to do the bundles. And the way I do it is like this. I just grab a bundle of it as if I'm holding it in my hand, and I clip just above the growth of the lavender plant so that the plant can come back. So I just grab it like this. You got to be really careful with your fingers, and you go like this, and there you have it. Isn't that cute? So we just tie it up, and it smells amazing, and people just love it. It just brings happiness. You can put this in your car, you can put this in your dining room table and make sachets with it, etc. And it's a really great variety. It's called Royal Velvet. And so now I'm going to show you a couple of other lavenders that we have. And because some other varieties are longer, we clip those longer. Let me show you. So look at the difference in these two lavenders. This is the Royal Velvet lavender right here, and it's doing its thing. And then right behind it is the Phenomenal lavender. And that's the name of the variety, Phenomenal lavender. And Phenomenal is closely related to the Grosso lavender, which they extract the perfume from. And I think that Phenomenal is the new variety that people are loving more, and it's starting to steal the show. and I'd love your opinion on that. But anyhow, you harvest this one the same, except this one has longer pieces, so it lends itself to longer bouquets. And so I'm just going to set these here for a minute and grab some of this lavender, and I do it just the same as the other one. And I just go down here, I get a big fistful of it. You just grab a fistful of what you think is going to be a nice length. You can always make them shorter, but you can't make them longer. So I always encourage to go a little longer, and you can tip them off. But look at these beautiful pieces of lavender, and I'll show you this variety here. So you have phenomenal lavender, which is all through here, and then you've got the royal velvet on this floor. And it's so awesome because when you move plants to your garden, it's like painting with flowers and trees by doing high, low, contrasting colors. And the common denominator is that they bring you happiness. Check this out. Speaking of pups, I noticed that these lavender plants have reseeded themselves and they've created these really nice pups. And again, my theory is if these little guys have found a crack in the ground, planted themselves in a place that we hadn't planted and turned into a little plant, that this is a strong plant. So I've already taken this whole section where we have all these like little volunteers, and I'm moving them one by one and transplanting them to another area. So I just keep growing the lavender row. And here's another couple of examples, because this is supposed to be an open pathway. And you see, these are all planted deliberately, but here's a pup, and they're, along the side. And I have so much that I could share with friends, but also I could extend the whole lavender path. And I'm just going to keep putting it around the garden, because one of the things that I learned about lavender is that mosquitoes don't love them. And I'm all about it. I'm going to plant lavender around the entire perimeter of the property because that resonates with me. Mosquitoes are probably my least favorite insect. Believe it or not, I've come to terms with understanding that they're part of nature, and that if we didn't have the mosquitoes, we wouldn't have a lot of the critters like frogs that feed off mosquitoes. Another observation about the mosquitoes is that when they're happening in the afternoons is that thousands of dragonflies come in at dusk and they're picking them up off the sky. So these dragonflies are feeding off the mosquitoes, the frogs are eating them, who knows what else. Then the mosquitoes are trying to eat us, which they've got the cycle wrong. But nonetheless, as hard as it is to admit, I've come to appreciate and understand that mosquitoes are definitely part of the cycle as much as we all hate them. Look at these beautiful pepper plants. So the most beautiful thing about this story is that our friends Gloria and Mike gave us these peppers, and she plants starts every year and she shares them with her family and friends. So a lot of us in this Winters community get to enjoy these peppers. And the backstory is that Gloria's grandfather, Rafael, brought these seeds from Spain many years ago, and they've been growing them here in Winters for many years. And I am so lucky to be one of the recipients of Gloria and Mike's peppers, because every year they lovingly start these. Not only do they start them and get them really nice and healthy and ready to put in the ground, but they also go around and they drop them off at people's houses. And I always look for Gloria's peppers because they put a smile on my face, and they're also super tasty. Once these turn into these big, beautiful red peppers, I gather them and I make the most beautiful peppers sauteed, and I eat them just with rice, and they taste delicious. So today I'm just going to plant them, and I'm going to plant them right here close to our farm office. Because we don't grow a lot of vegetables, I want to have this close to my eye so that I can keep an eye on them and I've got a spot where I planted them last year, and it worked out really well, because what I've learned in our climate is that the peppers, they want the sun, but they want the afternoon shade so that they could stay perky. And this is the perfect spot because we have this sunny spot here, but then we have the afternoon shade coming off of our farm office, and it keeps them nice and perky, and they taste sensational. So let me get to work, and I'm going to plant these. So there you have it. I've planted Gloria's peppers. I'm just going to wait for them to grow, and I'm looking forward to the day when I get to cook and eat them. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day planting more in the garden. I hope that everybody is having a good day, doing something creative, or playing in their garden.